Well, hello folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you, and let's get right on into it. All right, let's pull up the screen here. Ah, yes, NIO. We got the March deliveries out, and we're going to talk about the delisting fears, which seem to be subsiding, and talk about the long-term home run possibilities of NIO. So let's get right on into it. And towards the end of the video, I'm going to go over some of my history. I was doing an ILS video yesterday and went into some of my history as a, almost singer and entertainer and actor and all that. Hanging out with some A-listers, and I thought I'd tell you some of my history that might interest you. It seemed to be going over pretty well, so we'll do that towards the end. It won't take too long. All right, so NIO's busting it today, and we'll come back to the chart, but it's up about 8% today, and let's see why. All right, yeah, NIO had 9,985 deliveries in March, so that's a nice number. It's up 62% from February. And they did hit their numbers. They thought they'd do between 25 and 26,000 for the first quarter, and they end up doing just at that. So that's comfortable. It is a 28% increase year over year and a quarterly delivery record. So not bad at all. All right, so March hit almost 10,000, and we said it would probably hit about 9. So we were real close. So that, again, put us over 25,000. And I think we're done with Chucky for a while, although there is the Rona out there. But I don't see that being a long-term problem. I don't particularly care for how China's dealing with it. I don't know if that's going to work with this new version, but it is what it is. But I don't think that's going to be a long-term issue. The big issue that we've been talking about is the delisting, okay? That's been the elephant. Well, there's been two elephants in the room. There's been the delisting and there's been Taiwan. So let's just get into the heart of that, because that's really the key to this thing being a home run. We've got to get the delisting thing out of here. Well, that's going to only happen if China agrees to auditing, which they should. Every company needs to be audited, especially big companies. I mean, good grief. Well, small companies too. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's, what national secrets are they going to get out by looking at the profit and loss statement? I mean, come on. And they did come out and they talked about how the Chinese regulator tells auditors to consider preparing for inspections, aka audits. It says the China Securities Regulatory Commission said in a statement to CNBC Friday that it convened this week with a meeting with some accounting firms and told them to consider preparing for joint inspections. It says Chinese and U.S. regulator consultations on audit supervision and cooperation are going well, the commission said. So since March, the SEC has started to name specific U.S.-listed Chinese stocks. I think they've named like 12 of them or something, to adhere to the Holding Foreign Companies Accountable Act. And that's a law. You need to understand that went through the House. It went through the Senate. President signed it. It's a law. So it has to be done. Companies have to be audited. Now, granted, once you get on that list, you've got 3 years to comply, but it sets the clock. The clock starts right then and there. So it has to be done, or you're going to get delisted. And they said, we continue to meet and engage with the PRC authorities in an effort to achieve a cooperative agreement that provides the PCAOB, which is the oversight board with the United States, with the access required to inspect and investigate completely auditors headquartered in mainland China and Hong Kong. And then the PCAOB, they said, hold your horses. It's not done yet. Don't be getting ahead of us. Said it's premature, but it does look like it's going pretty good. And then Deutsche Bank it's pretty bullish on NIO, and they kind of went into the reasons why. And Deutsche Bank has it as a $50 price target for NIO. It says, after stagnant volume for the last few quarters due to operational bottlenecks, deliveries are on track to increase from 10,000 to at least 25,000 exiting 2021. This will shift the narrative away from supply constraints to a product supercycle. It says critical to this will be NIO's ET7 and ET5, which are set to be the most desired cars in the Chinese market this year, potentially representing category defining products for what many see as an increasingly competitive market. It says NIO has materially increased the resilience of their supply chain while also aggressively investing to deliver top-notch premium experience. It says NIO is planning to maintain sales of existing models at 10,000, ramp up the ET7 by at least 1,000 units every month, implying second quarter volume of 36,000 units. In the third quarter, ET7 sales are likely to reach 4,000 to 5,000 units, and then the ES7 built at NEO's existing plant and due for deliveries in August, will ramp up 4,000 to 5,000 units by year end. Then they talk about the ET5 built at the new NEO Park plant and due to begin deliveries in September, is expected to be targeting a per month rate of 10,000 units within about 3 to 4 months as they ramp it up. Deutsche Bank is thinking like 170,000 units this year. I'm hearing everywhere from 150 to 190. I was leaning closer to the 150, but Deutsche has got them at 170, which is just fine. And understand, you know, NEO's really early on. So whether they do 150, 170, 190, I'm not terribly concerned about it because several years down the road, that's going to be a pittance. That's going to be just a drop in the bucket compared to what they're selling when they're selling 500, 600, 7,000 units a year, and eventually 1 million vehicles and more, in my humble opinion. And I just like to remind folks of all the positives going for NEO. You know, they're always going to have the reduced payroll. They're always going to have lower raw materials costs because they're in China. They have the special battery swap credits. They've got government backing. They don't have any legacy roadblocks or expenses of converting from ICE engines. They're in the largest EV market in the world. They're moving all over the world to Europe, then the United States. Autonomous driving, which is very profitable. Remember, autonomous driving is software as a service. That's usually a 70 to 80% profit margin, depending. Now, you got to spend a bunch of money on the front end, which is why NEO's not profitable right now. But they think they're going to be profitable in about 1 year. Now, typically, especially an EV car company, when they become profitable, that's usually when you really get into a with the stock price, because then you've proven yourself as a company that's profitable, which is extremely important. If you remember what happened to NEO when they became profitable, now granted, I don't think it's going to do anything like that, but NEO it just went straight up. It didn't even go at an angle. It was like a rocket ship. Also remember, there's no limit on license plates in China and no weight if you have an EV vehicle. If you've got an ICE engine, good luck to you. And NEO could pay off their debt with cash on hand and their short-term investments at any time. So their balance sheet is great, which is rare for a car company. Normally they're heavy in debt. All right, so that's NEO. NEO's just going to have a great day, it looks like. And I feel good about the delisting. And let's talk about the other elephant in the room, the Taiwan deal. And the reason I want to bring that up, if you've watched Russia and everybody's watching Russia and Ukraine, I think they've shown the world you don't want to go into another country because now they're a pariah. Everybody can't stand them. They're going to feel this for the next 30 years, and their economy's already in crap, but it's going to go crappier. And nobody cares about them, and they never will again until, I don't know, the next generation that doesn't know about this. So I think China has learned from that. Hey, you may not want to go into Taiwan because you will be the next Russia. Is that what you want? And China's very pragmatic when it comes to money. You know, I understand communism and Russia's communism. They're not the same, though. They're just not. Russia is controlled by one lunatic, and China tries to do things pragmatically when it comes to money. And I don't see them going into Taiwan and trying to take over the chips, which would be a nightmare for the entire world and becoming literally a pariah. So I'm not terribly concerned about Taiwan. Could it happen? Of course it could. Delisting could happen, but it looks like much less possibility, and I think that's why it's popping today. Now, I also told you I would tell you a little bit about my history. You know, I did that for the Alice folks yesterday, and they seem to be interested in it. You know, back when I was in my hair band days, it was back in the 80s, and here was Mr. Frugal, you know, and I did okay with that band, and then I did a lot of hair modeling on the side because I needed the money, and that worked out for a few years pretty good. You know, you can make some good money doing that. But I really wanted to be more of a singer and an actor. And I told them yesterday, I tried out for this band. This one was more of a boy band. And you can see I got so far as where I got into the photos for the album cover. And I thought I had the job, but it didn't work out. And like I said, I fitted in perfect with this group, and we would have been very successful. But they went with another guy named Timberlake was his name. And they had a little bit of success, but it would not have been as big a success had I been in the band. But, you know, I was like 40 years old, and they thought I was too old, which is ageism, really. And they creaked me out of the job, and Timberlake took it from me. So that didn't go over too well for me. But then I tried a few other things. I tried out for a part in a movie for Disney, but they said I was too old for that one, too. And I would have been great in that, but it just didn't work out. And then I did just some modeling, you know, some of these rebel looks, you know, sort of a bad boy look. but they went with another guy on that too. And I always seem to always be the odd guy out, which is really unfortunate because, you know, I was pretty good in both of these. And then I tried out for like some Marvel movies, and this is one that I thought I was perfect for, but they went with another guy who was younger than me, once again. You know, they did a few video clips and whatnot. And, you know, I thought I nailed the part, really, but they didn't give it to me, so that was unfortunate. And then I tried out for a kind of a teen drama, and again, they said I was too old, and I nailed the part. Like I said, this was one where the girl had broken up with me and I was supposed to be upset. And I thought I did a really good job with it. You know, you could tell I was upset there. And I mean, that's what an actor's job, right? But they went with another guy. And this was this Dawson's River Kid show. And that didn't work out either. So I was kind of depressed after that. But I did meet this young lady and we started dating for a while. And it worked out pretty good for, you know, a couple of years. And that was this girl right here. She was pretty famous. She was in a show called Friends. You may have seen it before. Her name was Jennifer, and we dated for a while. And this was me on the red carpet with her, and it worked out for a little while until I met a lady named Angelina, and then we hooked up for a while. But you know that didn't work out either. But you know I started hanging out with a lot of A-list buddies, and we seemed to hit it off pretty good. And here I am right here. Here's Mr. Frugal, and George and I were pretty good buddies. This guy over here, Daniel, he was always wanting to hang out with us, you know, and we'd let him sometimes, but he was kind of the odd guy out. And, you know, it worked out pretty good for a few years, but now I'm doing the YouTube thing because, you know, I got kind of bored with the whole A-list lifestyle. All right, folks, and that's Neo today. Just wanted to go over those March deliveries, talk about delisting, and I feel real good about Neo long term. I see this stock just continuing to go up and eventually hitting that 34, and Deutsche Bank's calling for 50. So, you know, like I said, it's just going to take some patience. If you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover Neo. And I hope you enjoyed some of that past history of Mr. Frugal. You know, I led an interesting life, and I hope you did like the content. And we'll see you next time on Mr. Frugal Investor.